about cost-benefit analysis, Somali pirates, and how our government works. But mostly doesn't. I've learned that a C+ isn't the end of the world. That I can't actually save the world. And most importantly, I've learned to discriminate between Jews and non-Jews. Here's why. On my wedding day, I will turn to my fiancée and swear out loud before our friends and family, "Behold, you are consecrated to me with this ring, according to the laws of Moses and Israel." In other words, for all you non-Jewish girls out there, sorry, requiring my hand in marriage would be harder than requesting a song and shooters. This wasn't my choice, though. Baby, I was born this way. I was chosen, like my ancestors before me, to be a part of God's treasured people, to be as numerous as the stars in the sky. A Jewish star, that is. If I ever had a choice, my parents took it away when I was fresh out of the womb. 8 days of life to my name, they got me wasted on Manischewitz. They had me sign on God's dotted line with the Jewish people. This wasn't your ordinary contract, though. This one was signed in blood. And the dotted line was the tip of my penis. Why didn't I get a choice? Because my parents were so religious? Were they just old-fashioned and traditional? Or maybe it was because all 4 of their parents had survived the Holocaust. But I mean, were they Jewish supremacists, for God's sake? To answer these questions, let's take a look at the context of my Jewish upbringing. I was born in Boca Raton, Florida, Jew heaven. Or should I say, one step removed from it. My parents raised me in a kosher home and sent me to Jewish day school until the 8th grade. At the age of 3, I met my first Jewish girlfriend, Sarah. We were selected to play the mother and father of Shabbat in front of our classmates and parents. 10 years later, Sarah and I made power moves when we staged a Jewish wedding on video for a class assignment. That year, I also dropped my favorite sport so I could focus on my bar mitzvah studies. I said goodbye to tennis and hello to grinding. And go down to those pesky D-floor boners. Once I got to high school, things really started to change. I mean, first off, I went to a public school where only 50% of the kids were Jewish. Imagine that! I could have non-Jewish friends for the first time. Secondly, my parents became lazier Jews. Didn't go to temple as much. Mom started mixing up the meat sauce pots with the mac and cheese pots. Dad started ordering shrimp and lobster at restaurants. I even saw this son of a kosher butcher eat bacon. And then, there's my grandpa's confession. He just finished sharing his story of surviving the Holocaust with me. And I'll never forget how we wiped away each other's tears before I asked him one last question. I said, "Papa, do you believe in God?" And he said, "You know what? No. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in a God that would let so many innocent people suffer and die. So why do you go to temple and participate in all the holidays with us?" He said to me, "Just because I don't believe in God doesn't mean I don't believe in the Jewish people." That day, my grandpa shared with me the 11th commandment that God apparently forgot to make clear among the first 10. "Thou shalt not date a non-Jew." To be fair, what he actually said was, in order to prevent another Holocaust, you must marry a Jew. Promise me that. And I promised. every other upstanding male at Duke, I had some clear goals for college. In no particular order. I wanted to, 1, lose my virginity, 2, cuddle, and 3, fall in love. At the beginning of my sophomore year, when and where I least expected to find it, love found me at tailgate. There was only one little problem. She was what my grandparents would call a shiksa. Urban Dictionary translation, not Jewish. And so my saga of hidden and forbidden love began. Speaking in movie quotes, as we often do, my oldest sister warned me, "Bro, Montana, you are entering a world of pain." Until I told my girlfriend the truth, several months later did I realize how right she was. We were lying in bed, staring into each other's tear-filled eyes, when all of a sudden she sat up and said, "So I'll never be good enough for you." She realized I had broken her heart, not because of anything I had control over, but because maybe I was born this way, and she, well, wasn't. Worse yet, she called me out on the blatant hypocrisy of discriminating against her when discrimination had led millions of my people to the gas chambers in Auschwitz. Never in all my years of Jewish study and practice had anyone so thoroughly shaken the foundations of my Jewish identity. I mean, at age 6, I learned about how Moses demanded Pharaoh to let his people go, but at age 20, I just wished I could ask my people to let me go. It wasn't until only last week, well after I'd broken up with my ex-girlfriend, that I was able to make some sense of it all. I was proofreading the PDF version of my grandpa's tombstone when I noticed one inscription in particular. It read, 67245, my grandfather's concentration camp number, and Lador Vidor, a Hebrew phrase meaning from generation to generation. By labeling my grandfather Jew number 67245, the Nazis unintentionally labeled me as well. I'm the offspring of Jew number 67245, and my existence is as much an act of defiance as my grandfather's survival. By embracing my Jewish mandate, my grandfather's legacy will live on, not in the Torah scrolls, but through the Jewish people. That's why my parents raised me in a kosher home and sent me to Jewish day school. That's why my grandfather went to temple and said the prayers he didn't really mean. By doing so, they taught me how to preserve memory, how to survive. And even though he has passed, my grandfather will always be a survivor, as long as I honor that contract I reluctantly signed all those years ago. It wasn't my choice then, but it is now. I made my grandfather a promise, and I intend to keep it.